So on tonight's episode, it's going to be a little bit different. We brought on all these different, independent bands and everything like that, which I know you play music too, but we get to have Patrick from the Country versus Metal TikTok channel and YouTube and podcast as well. And then Mr. Matt Willis is I'm mirrored, so I'm pointing in the wrong direction. He's going to jump in and help the co-host this thing and make it a little lighter. And he's the Barney to my Andy. So,
You can say that.
So, one, I appreciate you hopping on, man. It was unexpected, but real cool for this to go this way. I know you're used to asking the questions and not being the one getting grilled, but
Yeah. I hopefully I know the answers of my own life.
just make them up. Yeah. It's okay. Just roll. Just make it up, and it'll be fine. Well, instead of, I guess we'll go all the way back to the beginning at another point. But the whole reason why you're on this app and everything to start with was because of your channel, and I'm sure that was appreciated but unexpected for it to kind of catch on like it did. How did the all of that come about and you get started and all that?
Man, I had like a New Year's resolution where I was like, I want to do like a viral video, and I'm talking like 10,000, 20,000 views, and it like when I was trying to like release our EP and our music before, I used to do like crazy stunts and whatnot. Like I like dyed my hair blue and then shaved my head, and then I took an EpiPen and put it in a chicken wing and ate that, just trying to like promote my music. And then I was like, you know what, like let me, like TikTok was hitting off, and I was watching, and I was like, man, all the people do is dance on there. And I'm like, and I had my lead singer Hank, and I'm like, because he loves country music, and I famously for a very long time did not. And I said, let's do like a back and forth of, I will listen to the song, you talk about it, and I'll talk about it at the same time. And we started doing that. And it started off, I was like, Garth Brooks, if you're a Garth Brooks fan, you're on your 4th colonoscopy. And, like we were just going back and forth. I was like the mean guy, the heavy metal dude. And, that's just how it went. And it started off like a comedic thing, but I was like, who wants to be known as like the mean guy?
The mean guy, like the heel.
Yeah. Like I was saying and it was funny. There was some kind of moments where like Hank would look at me and be like, watch what you say. You'd be like, we're talking about Johnny Cash. And I'm like, well, I was like, I consider Johnny Cash to be one of the first rappers, the way with his cadence. And he looked at me, he goes, really? And so we had some kind of like one-offs. But I still like, I didn't appreciate country music until like Hank, it's hard to like meet up being grown when you have jobs and whatnot. And then I just started like taking stuff out from the comments. And I remember listening to the Pecos and the Rooftops. And I'm like, man, it sounds like they're playing like Mesa Boogie's, like the heavy guitars. And I'm like, this has got to be like experimental. And they're like, no, man, that's Texas country. It didn't have, it's funny how this swings around. It didn't have the twang that at the time I was not a fan of. It didn't have just, like, it was like it was played in a minor key, not major, which all country was, you know what I mean? And it had like a serious, like honest overtone, and they cursed. Like I didn't know country music. They did that. I thought it was all like, let's be radio friendly, Snapchat, clap tracks. Let's keep the Nashville machine happy. And I was like, dude, this is good. He he didn't sound like any of the other singers, because like a lot of the Nashville guys, I used to always say like it sounded like they had peanut butter on the top of their mouth, but they're always like trying to get it off, and I'd be like, have some milk, dude. You sound like the other 10 guys. And then like Pecos, and then like that just drove me all down. Just, well, if I like this, well, you know what? I just might have not heard real country music.
With an edge to it.
Yeah, with an edge and with just not like an industry plan. Like just throw it, put the cog in the machine, pump the widget out, let's make money. It just, you know, it wasn't something I was used to. But like, and I was in the wrong. You know, I was very prejudiced, and when I really like, I've lost some time on some really good music. Like, dude, every time I press record, I can't remember. Like, I haven't seen it yet. Smokey and the Bandit. What's his name?
Jerry Reed.
Oh, dude, listen to that guy play with it. I was like, oh my god, it's incredible. And that's one thing. Like now, like right before I got on here, I'm learning Hotwired by Brent Mason, and like that whole style, like Danny Gatton, and I was watching like Johnny Highland and everything. It's just crazy how like the evolution of like I got Telecasters now. I used to be like, if you showed up with a Telecaster, I'm like, come on, dude. You know, where's your EMGs? Where's your active pickups? You know, scoop those mids out. Let's go.
Right.
And now it's like, but it's weird because I always loved story songs like Seeger and everything. You know, like a Turn the Page, like, and it just started by like me being like a jackass, and then realizing like, dude, I'm wrong. I'm so in the wrong. And then you just find like, it's just a shame. Like, had radio been different, or it's just an avenue to find like real
Understand
country.
what you mean? Yeah.
It's
Well,
incredible.
a lot of people still argue whether it's country or not, but it's still the story.
Yeah.
You know, is there. It doesn't matter. And what you're talking about with Turn the Page, you know, even I'm sure in your metal world, it was, of course, the musicianship, but it was also songwriting. And what you didn't like about what you were hearing or what you knew of with country music was the cheese. You know? And I'm sure there was a lot of rock music that with cheese that you know, kind of weren't necessarily a fan of as well, you know, because it's not authentic.
Yeah. It's funny, and I hope I used to like the fans. I only knew the lifted truck, you know, Confederate flag, and I was just like, I do not know. But you actually find like under the surface, when you peel it back, there is like a really true great art to it, and it's not lost. I keep seeing people being like, man, I miss the old days. I'm like, you just gotta like.
I'm with you on that. I see it.
Listen to our channels.
It kind of rubs me a little bit, not wrong. That's the wrong way to put that. But when people say, and I understand what they mean when they say country music is dead. And I got it. I completely understand, because there is no Johnny Cash. There is no Will. You know, or I guess there's a Willie, but you know, it's. I get what they mean, but also they say that because they're not exposed to all of those other people, or they'll say, well, Cody Jinks. He's not Waylon. Well, no.
Yeah.
No, Waylon was Waylon. If there was a bunch more of those, then he wouldn't be Waylon. You know, if everybody sounded like Johnny Cash, that wouldn't be great either. You know, that's what. Anyway, like you said, a lot of those bands and artists haven't reached those ears. They hear what's on the radio. And I speak from, I mean, your area is probably the same in Texas and Oklahoma and all of that. I mean, it's just an everyday occurrence for everyone to enjoy that music. But even I'm not that far away, but it's like another world. They don't, you know, if it's not on the radio until they reach a certain level, like now anyway, if they reach that Tyler Childers level, it's a sold out arena. But if there are a lot of people that are on our channels, they they have no idea who they are.
And it's frustrating. Like, because like there's probably a bunch of people out there like me where, like you got like I had like the horse blinders on because what I was exposed, like the whole thing, like you play the song back and the guy gets all of his crap back, like, and it's not like that. And there actually is the traditional sound. It's just, like I said, you just really have to, unfortunately, search for it. And it's like I always say, it's an iron curtain and like Texas is like its own, like they got their own charts and everything. But it is cool. Like now when I do go to shows, I'm seeing more and more people at these shows. And so it is getting around. It just, man, it's just not,
It's strictly social media, though.
Yeah, it's like the other day. I was like, I heard Coetzel, and I was like, dude, I was like, is that your playlist? And they're like, it just came up, but I like this guy's sound. I was like, that's what I've been doing, like
Right.
I started off with him, like I have some videos, and I was like, Coetzel, that sounds like a made up name, and people were like, you're gonna love him, and then like I did one song, and I was like, and then like I've done a couple of his songs where I was like, I like it, but I saw him live, and then I've listened to his late, and dude, I love it. It's like country, like Deftones, and I just love like stuff
I get
like
what
that.
you mean.
Like
on that one.
soundscape and just, it's still fun. That's the one thing people are like, oh, you do it all, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, well, your views are all down. I'm like, I don't care. Like, I never really did it for views. It was cool to, like, do a song and have somebody, like, they could have, like, no followers and they could feel like they're just putting music out for nobody, or maybe it's just their Texas folk. And here, I hope that I don't sound conceited, but I would come in and do a video and it would get, like, 70,000 views, like that. And it was like, dude, I love that. You know what I mean? Like, I've always been the kind of person like, get in the car and listen to this. And I always love like watching people be like, man, this is really good. I never heard that. I don't know. That just, it's a moment. You know what I mean? Like,
I'm the same way about sharing music with people. And I usually, like if, like Matt, if he sends me something and I've never heard that band before, from now on, like if I really like it, it clicks with me. I remember who sent it to me. And we're like, oh yeah, this fella sent me, that Tyler Childers, 8 years ago or whatever, which was actually Travis Matt, which is he's the one that was messaging me telling me to listen to Tyler Childers back in the day. But that's I personally anyway, I remember what people have sent, especially ones that really catch on. I remember who introduced me to those people. So I'm a fan of doing that too, especially when, like you said, when it really actually clicks with somebody. Yeah, you can tell, especially, I'm sure it's the same with you, because people will leave comments, I guess, right, and tell you, well, if you like that, check out this person. So it sends you down rabbit holes.
Yeah, that's pretty much how I get my music from, and I just have a playlist. And the great thing about TikTok is it's also one of the reasons why I don't do like this week these came out and you do like 5 snippets of songs. I don't like doing that because like with TikTok, the beauty of it as an artist, and I see a lot of people that don't utilize this feature, is if you put your song down there, it's 2 clicks to add it to your Apple playlist or your Spotify. It's an incredible, it's a business card, and it's just simple as add to playlist, and it's there. And that's why I always try to keep the videos like that. And like you're a musician. When somebody sends you something, if you've never heard it and you love and appreciate it, it changes you. It just
touches your soul, man. It's just
and like especially if you hear a sound you've never heard before, or something played the way, or even, and if even if it doesn't hit you at that moment, when you go and see the band, and then you realize that the live aspect, it's like watching like, it's like learning how like magic is done by like, you know, Penn and Teller and everything, and you go and you go, where's the keys player? Oh, the guitar player does that. He has it's reverb, you know, and it's just,
Right.
it's just.
I could see where, like you mentioned, with Pecos and with Co and everything, when you see them live, you're kind of thinking like where it would have more of that garage feel,
Yeah,
you know.
I had the best experience seeing Co Wesselwy live for the first time. Is he got on stage, and I was hanging out with Kat Hasty, and she's like, "Let's go!" And I remember she started running, and I was running after her. I was like, "Man, I hope it looks like I'm running with her and not after her." But like we ran right out front, and she was explaining all the songs. She was like, "Yeah, man, he should definitely be bigger than he is," and it was just so cool to like get like an artist in the scene's perspective as well, and just he puts on a great show. It was cool because I was talking to Mason before he went on, and just to see it all put together and that sound, because like a lot of like those guys, like the Red Dirt guys, like after like late 90s and the 2000s, all that cool like alternative sound like went away. It was a really cool time in music. But like I love, like it was 1994, Offspring released Smash, and like those guys came out, and then like all of a sudden, like, you know, people say, was it really punk or pop punk? But still, it was brought to like all the people that like the Dead Kennedys and
Right.
Social Distortion and all that, and now everybody was like into it, and that sound, that just raw, you know, just off the floor sound, just guitars, just. I always bring up like Buckcherry, and people lose their minds, but I was like, that was just like Marshall guitars and just singing.
It was a sound. Yeah.
And a lot towards like the early 2000s, there was a lot of like synth pads and effects and everything, but there was also like a cool, like Blink 182 and all those guys. It was like just story, organic songs, and it was like lost. And like when I heard like Giovanni and the Hired, I'm like, dude, this is the sound that I used to love, because after a certain era, all the bands started sounding the same. Like even like my favorite, like Metallica, I'm just like, what happened to your tone? Where's it should sound like a tube amp. It just, everything got just plastic, and just everything sounded the same. Because like like I'm older, and back in the day, before you could hear the singer, you would know that's AC/DC. I know that guitar tone.
Oh yeah.
There was iconic tones to bands and sounds. Everybody had their own sound, and then like kind of like I guess with the innovation of, you know, just plugins and whatnot, it just kind of lost like that EQ where you hit your preset. And but
It was also a different machine.
yeah, I remember like the Tascam
Unfortunately.
4-track.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, as far as it wasn't the Nashville machine, but it was another machine. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? As far as what we heard, because at one point in time, like you mentioned, Offspring, but that would be totally different from the band that came after them on the radio. You
Yeah.
know? It might be Fun Loving Criminals or Sponge or whoever, you know what I mean, that come on after, you know, which was completely really not even in the same in the same, you know, style or whatever, but it didn't matter. It was all under the same umbrella, kind of like they do with Americana now. You know, everything was under the alternative umbrella back in the day, but the alternative umbrella kind of gave it room where not every band sounded like Nickelback,
Yeah.
as far as tone was.
Yeah, I know what you meant.
That wasn't a jab at Nickelback. No, you know, but you know what I mean. like you said, at one point in time, it kind of starts to sound similar.
Yeah, and man, like, and as like a musician, like, God, how can you be happy with that? You know what I mean? Like, and it's especially as like an electric guitar type band. It's kind of hard. Like, are you're? I assume you're more like a just primary acoustic.
Yeah, I was. I mean, I'm just a barroom, musician. I played drums for years, so this whole singing in front of people and playing guitar is relatively new to me. But
Really? Dude,
I'm just a fan.
I would have.
So
I didn't have no idea that you weren't like a primary guitar player.
oh no, not at all. One of the other guys that was going to join but he had to work later. He is the guitar player of our little bar band. So
Nice, but yeah, if you're primary, like, how would you find your own voice? If
I get what you
playing
mean.
acoustic?
I feel the same way about the lyrics. What you're talking about as far as with your tone and your equipment and your all of that aspect. I'm the same way, except for with the words. I couldn't be the happy doing that thing. It's still authentic, no matter if it's your music or your words. It's still authentic, and if it's not, it would burn out fast.
Yeah, and it's just I couldn't do it. It's funny. Like, I'm actually just I try to be a songwriter, but it's like everyone's like, grab your six string, shut up. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's like it's just the entire package of a band was just kind of lost in that commercial area, and it's really cool that the Oklahoma red dirt and Texas country artists, like, they're cutting their teeth in their own way and their own style.
There's avenues to do it.
Yeah, and a lot of them
Which is great.
they're independent. They answer to no one, which is awesome, and it's cool to see, like, the guys that are, like, there's no litigation, and like they're doing songs together.
And that's the ones you really want to help. Not that, you don't mind helping anyone, but the guy that's really mom and pop, that's the one that, that really those extra 10 listeners you might send them matter.
Yeah.
Or whatever it is. So, Matt, you got a question? I like that shirt too, by the way. I just now noticed that.
The old Showco. One of the questions that I had is just kind of, it sounds like you've been on this journey for a very long time. I'm just kind of curious where it all began for you. Did you come from a musical family, or did you get started later in life? Did you always play guitar? What was your inspirations on playing, and where did it all come from?
Oh man, my inspiration for picking up a guitar. Well, man, this is gonna sound crazy. I had an uncle. This is TikTok, so I don't want to say anything bad. He was unalived, and he was a guitar player. So I had a guitar, and I never really played it. Never really knew what to do with it. I used to like rub batteries on it to make my neighbors mad, and what really made me pick up a guitar, and everyone makes fun of me, is Poison. CC DeVille, that sound. I love his guitar playing, his guitar tone, and I was really big. What it really was my uncle. My grandmother had 10 kids, and my uncle Steve was really young, and he was like the cool uncle. I remember, like, I was scared of all the posters, his Def Leppard posters with the eyes and everything, and what was it? Open up and say ah. I was like, man, I am scared to death of these. And then you could turn off the lights, and the Pink Floyd posters would glow in the dark. You're like, oh. But like, he would put on music, and I remember his favorite song was "Something to Believe In," and I remember just hearing the guitar, and his favorite Eddie Van Halen song that I loved, "Take Your Whiskey Home," and I just fell in love with just the guitar. And for years, I lived behind a college stadium, and I would put my stereo into the windowsill and just blast the music and pretend to play it, like like a little kid, you know, like. And then it got to the point. It was funny. Is my dad was like, "Listen, you want to like play guitar?" Because definitely not from a musical family. And my dad, he loves music. Like he went to the funerals to Leonard Skinner. It's like it's funny. I don't think he made it. I think he got like a DUI buying peyote. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. He'd be like, "That was another time. Shut up." But yeah, he just must. But yeah. So he got me a guitar lesson, and I was all excited. I wanted to learn how to play Train of Consequences by Megadeth. And I gave the guy $20. He's like, "We got 30 minutes," and it was the intro to that is really easy. There's no notes except for it's all. And then he was like, you know, he gave me back my $20, and he said, "You're never going to learn how to play guitar," because I couldn't get the down, up, down, up, down, up, down, like the pattern. And I like gave up, like right then and there. I'm like, man, that's a hell of a thing to say to a kid that really, you know.
How old were you then?
Oh man,
About?
I would say 6th, 7th grade. And yeah, he handed me my $20 back. He said, "You're never gonna learn how to play guitar." And like for a while, I was like, "Man, did my dad tell him to do this?" Because he'd always be like, "Shut up, Jimmy," and make me turn off my amp. But then, a crazy story. It was weird. This was a weird time. My parents had an apartment, and I had an apartment. I was young. And it was another really weird living situation. They were down there, I was up top, and they were, I hate using the word junkies, but they, you know, they would go on the nod and hear their alarm for hours. They would be passed out on whatever they were on, and you know, you would bang the broomstick on the floor, nothing, and then I would take my amp, put everything on 10, and just rub door cell batteries. Like, it sounds like cats on fire. It's terrible. And I remember the one day I heard the guy open the door, and he started. It was an old barn converted into apartments, and it was a real rickety staircase. And I heard him coming running up, and I'm like, finally, you know, I was a teenager. I remember opening the door, and I was waiting I thought we were going to fight, and he just said, "You want to learn how to play that thing?" And I was like, yeah, I'd love to learn how to play it. He sat down, and he showed me drop D tuning. Within 10 minutes, this guy was like in a comatose state, had me playing, I think it was 7 Mary 3. It was like, dan, 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 something like that. It just, He said, all you need is one finger. It's called drop D. He said, you can play that, you can play anything. And he said, just practice that. And I did. It was one lesson. It was 15 minutes of learning just how to play with one finger, drop D tuning. And he just showed me different riffs. And here his dad had been a well-known musician. And I said, well, what happened with you? And he said, you know, drugs. And he's like, and here he would go to the local guitar store just to polish up on his skills. Yeah, it was crazy, and I really, that was like a temporary situation. We were building the house, and finally we moved in. I swear I seen him at like a diner long time ago, but like yeah, it was just 15 minutes with a guy who was mad at me for making noise, and that's how it all started. It's just once I was able to like make favorable sounds, it was just, it's all about how much time you want to put into it. And
right.
I put, like, that's what I wanted to do. That's why I'm sitting here with no wife, no kids. You know, like I always was like, man, if it ever comes up, I can just drop everything and go, you know, get in the bus and just travel the world and just play guitar. And then, you know, now I'm like middle age. It's like, But I still love it. I love it. Like when people get worried about retiring and like, what am I gonna do? I'm like, dude, I'm gonna sit on my porch and I'm gonna play until my fingers bleed. That's how I've always been. I hate breaks. I hate stopping. I hate playing with smokers. I want to just no encore, just play. And if you're not happy, I will play outside in the parking lot. I just love music. It's pretty much, and it all really stemmed from CC DeVille, who I finally did get to see. And he's
Phenomenal.
I love his playing, and it's he has a tone similar to Yngwie Malmsteen, who I appreciate as well, but he doesn't come across as Yngwie. I just love the scene. Like he was playing the wrong song at an award show, and Bret Michaels had to unplug him, and I was like, rock and roll.
Right.
He's the only guitar player. And I just, as a kid, I didn't like, oh, I'm going to be like that. But that sound and like Eddie Van Halen and just, God, it was back. Like they used to have concerts on, it was called like Request. Or it might even like Prism or like just old, back when HBO was home box office.
Have you ever heard the story of like when Slash tried out for Poison before CC?
Yeah, he loved it. I
thought that was interesting how he came in to try out for Poison and realized real quick that he was not a glam rock guy and started to walk out the door and in walks CC DeVille in a white trench coat and he's like, "This is your guy. This is your guy right here," and wound up being the guy. So that was kind of wild,
And our very first interview on this thing, Matt, you remember David Jackson from on TikTok, right? His favorite guitar player then his first concert that he went to was Poison, and he was raving about CC DeVille. So
yeah, man, I'm the same fan. Like,
and he's a country guy. He's a Texas country and blues, like that's his thing. But he was still raving about CC DeVille.
When I heard him cut into Nothing But a Good Time, the solo to that, it changed my life too. I was like, I don't know why people make fun of these guys, but I'm not. I'll be the guy with the T-tops out blasting it at 82 years old with a mullet. You know what I'm saying? I'll be that guy and be fine with it. You know what I'm saying? But that's my opinion. I mean, it's just it's what goes back to what he said earlier. It just touches my soul, and it makes me want to grit my teeth and just rip into it. You know what I mean? And just gets my fire burning. That's just the way it is.
Yeah, that is like ball and chain. It starts off with like a swamp blues slide, and man, his tone.
It's crazy, man. I agree. Yeah. I'd like to see a rig rundown on him myself. I don't think I've ever seen one, personally.
Yeah, I feel like maybe one day, like I have seen like the old Guitar World. They would have the diagrams with everything. Yeah. Those guys toured with so much. It would be considered unnecessary right now.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah, 100-watt heads. It's like. What?
Yeah.
Did you not have PAs in those stadiums back in the day?
Did you not have microphones?
It tripped me out on Angus's setup. I watched Angus Young set up, and his Marshall was not set the way my eyes would have thought it would have been set. As far as his tone and everything. And he said he had like 40 100-watt plexis on rotation. Like one blowed up. He only plays through one, and the rest of them are dummies that's on the stage, and which. Like you said, goes back to what you said. That should have been done years ago, but I don't even think that it's out front. It's down low somewhere, So, it was crazy to me. Like one blows up, he puts another one in rotation and just keeps going, It's crazy.
So when did you start it? When did that lead to a band? Even just a cover band or whatever? What was the first group like that? And how old were you?
I guess I was like 14, and it was two identical twins, and they asked me if I would just sing at a party of what is it, Eye of the Beholder. I would just go, "Language of the Mad," or no, it was a Harvester Sorrow. I'm sorry. That's all they wanted me to do. And I was like, okay, and then next thing you know, we pretty much became Metallica tribute band, and we used to play Silverchair. And like
That was the one that wasn't Metallica.
yeah, for the most part. We played some like White Zombie, but yeah, we pretty much it was funny is because no one could remember the lyrics, and it ended up like I was the singer, and we had like he's passed now. He was a Vietnam vet that needed to talk to somebody, and he had nobody to talk to back then. And boy, did he take it out on us. I've been kicked through water heaters.
That was the guy from one of the guys in the band.
It was their dad.
Oh, okay.
And before he died, he became. It was funny. It's like he was a madman. He was crazy, but he always supported us in a weird way. And then, unfortunately, his wife died, and he went to the VA and started talking. Got a therapist. He was traumatized in Vietnam, and they just sent him home. And man, I just remember I kind of had like a 5 to 10 year of not seeing them, and they called me up and they're like, "Hey, we want you to get involved again. Get the band back together, Blues Brothers style." And I remember it was on their dad's property. They had a big shed, and here he comes walking down, and I was taking my watch off, taking my phone out of my pocket, and I remember one of the other guys I'd never met before. They're like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "The old man's coming down." He said, "Why are you taking everything out of your pockets?" I was like, "In case I gotta fight him." And they're like, "What?" And the older brothers were like, "Yeah, that was old school." They're like, he's different, and he was the sweetest old man. After I guess he finally got some Elvis in his life. He was obsessed with Elvis, and he got some therapy. But we used to play in a little basement, and if it was nice out, we would play outside, and just a little rundown town in the middle of nowhere in PA, and that was, and it was funny is we used to take songs and make them heavier, which I was like, man, nobody ever does that. We would play like old 80s and just like tune down to like where the guitar it was like playing spaghetti. And it turns out that actually became a thing. I was like, man, if we only knew back then, because I used to grab the microphone and it had a kill switch on it, and I just go, and then Korn came out with Twist, and I'm like, dude, we do that. That's our warm up. I'm like, and that was another like when they came out, it was like, man, now we all need 7 strings. But yeah, it was really just being a 13, 14-year-old kid, and actually like my dad, we had a basement that he soundproofed, and we had an area where we could practice after he realized that, hey, I don't think this is just a fad.
Right.
He's not going to grow out of this.
Yeah.
When was the how old were you on the first like gig with some like a paid kind of situation?
Paid.
What was it?
I mean, we tried out for the high school talent show, and we didn't get in. It was funny is we never had a bass player, and so I thought that was the thing. We had an issue with no bass player, and I'm trying to think the first time I was ever paid, because they started another band that was doing really well, and then I got involved. We were doing a country verse metal guitar solo, and that was the first time. And then I ended up managing them. Man, we used to play like 128 shows a year, and it was probably like 10 years ago where got paid. And that was crazy to me, because I was like, I've never gotten paid to play guitar. And it was like, man, that was a while ago. I can't really remember. I think that was the time we used to. I guess it was down the beach, and it was funny is I was playing guitar, and I look over, and there's a dude standing next to me, a big dude, and he's like staring at my hands, like it's a lifted stage. It's got some separation, and he's getting into it. And I'm like, who is this guy? And I remember walking over. I'm like, who is that guy? And the lead singer was like, he wrote that song. I was like, well, that's pretty cool. You know? that was one of the first times I guess we actually played all that weekend. Yeah, I'm trying to think who was like the headliner. Montgomery Gentry. But
Also, that's when you started getting into the country world at that time.
yeah.
So you weren't really as far as in that metal scene, you weren't really in a band that was gigging and you know, which I know it's a you got to find your spot to be able to gig in that world and make money at it. But
Yeah.
Because there's not a lot of cover opportunities for metal bands, but so it was after you had kind of gotten into the country world that you actually started.
Oh yeah.
You know,
That's
really.
why I started playing country, because I was making money. That's why I started managing them. I was like, man, we make a lot of money doing
These
this.
are some of the same guys that were involved in the metal band.
Yeah, it was the twins, and we had a bass player from Canada who he's a prodigy. He's an incredible bass player. I don't even know what he's doing right now. If anybody could have been famous, it was him. And we had a young kid, Hank, who I still play with. He actually got signed to a management company, and we're actually going to Nashville at the end of the summer to record some songs. We wrote some songs in Nashville. God, COVID ruined everything, so we have yet to go in the studio. And we've done them here because I have your bass. But yeah, we're actually going to the big boy studio. But it's funny is like I want like, it's weird to be like, I want like the Texas Red Dirt sound. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to do like
Right.
the cookie cutter. I know it's Nashville, and they've given me. I haven't been like Colt Ford. He owns the label. He's offered his podcast studio since the beginning, and I haven't been there. It's just, but I feel like sometimes like I've always trashed Nashville, and I go there, and I'm just kind of like, sorry, you know, like it's not you.
Well,
it's the
It's
sound.
not you, it's me.
It's the machine. Yeah.
Well, yeah, because that's the face of it all. That's the bells and whistles. You know, when we think of Las Vegas, we think of certain things, but there's a city there too. With other people, with other things going on. I think the same thing about. I mean, I'm in Memphis. I'm not that far from Nashville. It's same for him. But that's what you feel. Even when you go there and visit, as a tourist, you're going to go you're going to go on Broadway, and you're going to hear different bands playing the same songs, and it's super ultra talented people, but it seems cheesy. It's there for a party. It's like a honky tonk
Never ending party.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a jukebox, and that's which is I understand that. I mean, we play in a cover band, so I get it, But also, as a music fan, it can kind of break your heart a little bit when that's all you see. But outside of Broadway, I've been told this many times. Next time you go back, go off of Broadway. Go find some other places, and that's where you're going to find the guys you'll like. And
Yeah.
I have yet to be able to do that.
I've done it several times, and
but
you're right.
Same.
And so, and that's the people you're talking about, though.
Yeah, I'm
You know what I
trying to
mean?
think.
And I'm not trying to put it in a box because there is no box. There's all different, it's a melting pot of musicians there that's
Oh yeah,
all over the
different
place.
walks of life for sure.
Yeah, it's funny is I had a really good Nashville trip once, and it was crazy. Like I always tell the story, and nothing came of it. So it's like, why tell the story? It was like a really cool dinner. They were talking about pilots for a CMT reality TV show, and the band had a song called Rockstar, and the reality TV show was musicians that travel to Nashville on the weekend to try to make it. And after the dinner, they're like, hey, we're going to go check out this artist. Would you like to go check him out? Let us know what you think. And it was off the grid, way away from Broadway. It was it's funny is the lead singer walked into the venue and walked out. I said, what's up? What's up? He goes, that bar looks like every fight scene in every MTV video I've ever seen. And he's like, I don't want to be in there by myself. He goes, I felt weird. So like I walk in, I'm like, oh wow, this place does look like it gets rowdy. And I remember there was like a wolf dog sitting on, it was like a church pew up against the wall. It was this hard wooden bench, and there was a gigantic dog sitting there, and the bass player walked in and goes, look how real this thing looks. And he put his arm around it, and this wolf was like, rrr. I was like, John, get off the dog. And I remember we walk around the corner, and there's the band setting up, and no one's really paying attention. And these guys, like, you kind of look at them, and like, you didn't really think of them as musicians. Like, it legit looked like they just got off work, and that's what they started off with. He says, you might recognize us if you've ever had dinner at P.F. Chang's, because that's where we work. I think their name was called Behold the Brave, and they rocked. It was incredible. It wasn't country. It was like, from the moment they started to the end, it was like, and I'm just like, are we really here for this? It was awesome. And I'm like, you want us to tell, like, you need an opinion? Like, you're here? And it just blew my mind. I'm like, this is what because I went to Broadway, and I saw, like you said, the same 10, 20 songs, and you die a little on the inside. You're like, this isn't Music City. This is Bachelorette. Hey, I'm trying to get a check off this T-shirt. And it's like people passed out on car hoods and monster trucks, and just it's like what did like Wheeler Walker say, like redneck Disney, which I get. And then like to hear that band, it was like, dude, that sound. I was like, how are these guys not super famous? How are they not? And they were like bus boys at P.F. Chang's, I think they were saying, and they were like super cool. Like they got on, and like they had no idea, like, you know what I mean? Like the one guitar player, he was like, I need everything you've ever done. Where can I find everything? And they're like, oh man, we might have some stuff out in the van. And he was like, well, chop, come on, man. Like it was incredible. And I was like, man, if these guys, it also was heartbreaking as well, because I was like, man, if these guys are getting scattered by labels, and like they weren't like, wide, pie-eyed, like, like I was like, how do you not hear how awesome the music was, but also being a part of a label, how do you not being blinded by the potential dollar signs too? Because it's like, you know what I mean? I'm pretty sure you can offer them a little bit more money than P.F. Chang's.
Right.
But that was an incredible moment. It's just, I'll never forget that, because like the bar was scary. I just remember I was like, man, this does look like everything is gonna break in here. Like, I was like, where's the chicken wire? But it was incredible that, like, and also like on Broadway, I think the only like what is it, Tin Pan Roof or whatnot, they do a lot more of the
Tin Roof.
Yeah, the harder edge stuff. That place was cool.
We stumbled into one place. I think it was called Hot Shots, if I remember right. One, we went in there because their sign had the cheapest beer on Broadway, so that was like, okay, we're headed there, and but it was a rock bar, right off of Broadway, which is not, normal normal. And people kept going up and requesting country music, which was just kind of weird because you could literally just walk next door and find all of it you wanted. So they played like a Green Day version of Wagon Wheel, and I was floored. And I was like, okay, hell yeah, you know what I mean? Because they were like, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then it just, start rock me mama like a wagon wheel in Green Day style. So I was like, okay. They were kind of smart asses too, that made me. I have no idea who they were, but it made me a fan, just because, like you had that in your pocket. You've been waiting on that. You've been waiting on the chance to do that. So, it was like a When I Come Around, or a Welcome to Paradise, Green Day version of Wagon Wheel. So
That's funny.
I was down for that. I was like, hell, I want to do that now. But so as far as what you have going on now, is that going to? You mentioned your buddy that's going to be recording soon. Is that pretty much what you're musically besides the channel? Is that what is going on now?
Yeah, I was
Or
playing.
do you have other things going on?
I'll do what any. I've done a couple guest spots on. I played on Dax Perrier, Red Dirt Out of Me. I was talking to like Sterling Elza. They were talking about doing something, and I'm gonna forget his name. He was like, "Also, I want you to do something." So I will do like guest spots, but like it's weird now. Like I was hired. Dax was like, "Listen, nobody in Oklahoma plays the way you do," and now I'm like trying to play how people play in Oklahoma. Like I'm upset. It's weird because it's one of the pivotal moments where I was like, I'm going to dedicate my life to this. Besides CC was Zach Wild and the song Perry Mason, and he liked Chicken Picks and John 5, and they're telly guys, and I never even thought about using my fingers and whatnot, but like the band was Southern Tide. The one guitar player he started, JD Willis, and he has a daughter. I was playing with him. He wanted to write a song for Jason Aldean. He says that's his goal. He wants Jason Aldean to cut a song, and I called my buddy, and the closest I was able to get him was the guy who co-wrote Hurricane for Luke Combs. So I was like, I did all I could for you there, bud. But he plays sporadically. He actually, if I can't make a show, he plays for me. But I've been playing with his name's Hank Miller. He was the lead singer of Southern Tide, and I still play with him. And it's weird. Like I don't want to do acoustic, and I don't want to play bars. We went from playing like they were playing like stadiums and stuff like that, like big shows and guest spots, and I was like, I don't want to be background music. I'm too old, and not saying like I hope this doesn't come off like conceited. It's just like I want to do the music thing, not the weekend warrior. You know what I mean?
The grinding thing, yeah.
Yeah. Like I played for Brian Martin, and that was the first time I walked into a green room and there was a rider, and I'm like, "What's a rider?" And he's like, "Well, I said there's going to be Shinerbach and Miller Lite in this fridge," and I was like, "Wait, this is a thing?" I'd always heard about it,
Right.
Ozzy needed 10,000 brown M&Ms before he hits a show, and
Right.
that was cool. I was like, this is what I want. Like green room, I was like, man, not out in the parking lot on a tailgate. Like, I like that. I like the aspect of it just being a real musician. Like, I hate saying like real, you know what I mean? Like, I'm trying to just come off as not sound conceited.
Well, you're wanting to do original music and tour that
exactly.
original music. I mean, there is a total different which what you're saying is probably what just about everybody on Broadway is wanting as well. So you're not. We hear what you're saying, and it's not. I mean, like
They're
that's
waiting
what
for their shot, basically.
that's what
you
I,
know?
that's what I do. But it's just my like hobby. You know what I mean? I'm not looking for the same thing as you are. And yeah, you're definitely. I mean, you're not alone because there's a whole damn world of in Texas, Oklahoma. There's a whole scene of people doing that original thing. I mean, there is a different. Yeah, it's just a whole nother different world doing your cover songs compared to, especially if you're somebody that's in on the ground work of recording songs. I can only imagine how that would be to go in, record it, and then tour it, and see the reactions, and it's something that you've come up with, and all of that stuff to see it grow.
Yeah, that would be that. To actually tour on an album you wrote, that has to be incredible. I mean, hopefully it does well. It could be terrible.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It to me. I always picture something like that being like you do this painting that you're really proud of, and then you put it out there for the world to see, and they're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, let me take my painting back over here and start all over, or quit, and a lot of people, I guess you have to be stubborn enough not to quit and keep on do another one.
Till you make it work. I mean, you've came this far. Why give up now? Just keep doing it. You'll make it.
Yeah, it's that's one, like, I know I'll definitely never give up guitar. If I could kick myself in the ass, my God, I'd be to the moon right now with just like country guitar, an actual country, like what, like I was just say, like Dwight Yoakam, no idea he was an artist, no idea. I just like actor, and then to hear like that, like the chicken picking with the twang and all that, like
The Pete
using your
Anderson
fingers
stuff.
and like really like playing like a percussive banjo type thing, and like with Brent Mason, and it's like, man, like this isn't even the solo, this is the riff, and it's hard. I thought like Steve Vai and Buckethead were like top tier, like if you can play that, you can play anywhere, and it's just like, yeah, that's true, but a lot of the new guys, I know I'm gonna sound old, a lot of like the new technical stuff, it ain't got no soul. You know what I mean? Like Scuttle Button by Stevie Ray Vaughan, very easy song to play. Very hard to play it like Stevie. You'll never play it like Stevie Ray Vaughan, but the way how he could take something that simple and just blow your mind, some people just have that inside of them. That I don't know what it is, like that mojo, that juice, and he just every night just I would love to have. Like,
I think it's to me anyway. I mean, I don't know anything either way, but what I like to think of it as is it's they have the ability to let you see them,
yeah,
if that makes sense, instead of trying to be somebody else. I mean, he was influenced by everybody or whatever, but he's like opening himself up,
And, dude, he could sing too. I remember I'd heard Stevie Ray Vaughan before, and it was weird because I was like, oh, he's good. And then you see him live, and you're like, he's a living legend. It's
Nuts.
It's insane because like Scuttlebutt, like it's it's not, but the way how he just blows it out of the park, and even like Pride and Joy. Like, you could pick up a guitar and have 5 lessons and play that. Can he play it like him? No, but just how he could take, and like a Dimebag Darrell was the same way. Like, really simple in terms of you could play it, but you can't play it like them.
It's all in the hands, man, and it's coming out of them,
Yeah. Oh my God.
It's that funky. Now, I mean, he had that funky. I don't know. It's almost. it's like a funky blues. You know what I mean? It's like the way he slaps and the way he,
It was aggressive.
it was super aggressive. And his videos with Freddie, them were probably my favorite. Watching him play with him and him sitting there going, look at this white boy go. You know what I'm saying? This is
Oh,
crazy,
you're talking about Albert King.
Albert.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. I
Albert
said
King,
Freddie.
yeah.
I was thinking Freddie King. I'm sorry.
With that video, what I always kind of laugh at is like when Albert King is playing lead where Stevie's playing behind him,
Mm-hmm.
But when Stevie's playing the lead where Albert ain't playing nothing, like you know what I mean? He's just like, just watching.
And he didn't even have to, because that's the way he plays. It fills everything up. You know what I mean? It's
Right.
Like he's playing lead and playing rhythm at the same time. It just, just sick. Stupid sick.
Yeah, he's the guitar player. Like
When I first heard of his version of Little Wing, I think I listened to it like 55 times before I quit listening to it.
I mean, you're naming these guys like that, like as far as like Zakk Wylde and all these different, metal guys. Remind me, I got a dime bag thing to talk about too. Well, I don't want to forget that. But you're talking about Stevie Ray, which is not the same sound. But I mean, you're you're putting him. He's not one of those shredding kind of guys. To basically see how fast I can play and how many notes I can put in, but you're putting him way up there on your list just because of.
Oh, I love Stevie Ray Vaughan. Another guy that I love that Paco de Lucia. He's a flamenco guy.
Mm-hmm.
I tried flamenco, and that was the first time where I actually was like, I'm gonna use these fingers. Like, I'm using these. I got a whole nother set over here. Let's, And I know people, and no, I gave up. I sold it. Like I hardly ever sell guitars, and I was like, no, I can't do it. I bought a flamenco nylon string and tried to do like the Rusciato and it's funny is like I hate clap and snap tracks, but flamenco has like that, like they bang the stuff together. It's like that.
I understand.
And Paco he can rip on guitar. And it's funny is like on the country side of things, those guys are doing the same thing. It's just I didn't know they existed. But Stevie Ray, man, what I loved about Stevie Ray Vaughan is he never, just like Jimi Hendrix, he never played the same thing, like the same song the same way. He always, I love when like you could tell he's getting in on it, and he goes another couple bars.
Yeah.
They're a band, like a real true band.
And that's why, like, I love and hate click tracks in the in-ears. You know what I mean? Like, if you're feeling it and you look over and it just kind of takes that moment away. Like, I saw Buckethead.
I'm with you. I understand.
Yeah, he blew my mind, but he was playing to a tape. When you look down and you see, like, somebody's eyes lit up, you're like, I'm going to shine you on. You know what I mean? You feed off of that. And just that, and I don't know.
No, I'm with you. Like, I mean, because some of I still want to make sure I get that, but some of my favorite concerts are a little loose, like I talked about this before. I talked about this actually last night, and to me, it's the perfect example of what I like in music, but also what I love in music. As I saw Aerosmith in early 2000s, and STP opened up for them. I love Aerosmith, just like everybody else does, but Aerosmith was very stand here. This light went off. This fire goes off. You stand here, and it was choreographed. Which is fun. It's a rock show. That happens. But STP was just like, well, how the fuck are you? And and you know what I mean? And just played a rock show. There was no, that's, and I like that. Even say like American Aquarium, seeing them live. I mean, BJ will let the rhythm section keep going and talk to the crowd. And the next time he might not even play that song. So, like what you're talking about, there's a lot. it takes away to me anyway from
Reading the crowd,
the
you know
band
what I mean?
aspect of it.
Kind of reacting to it. Jam bands do that a lot, you know, like Government Mule and you know, Widespread Panic and, you know, Allman Brothers, you know, God rest their soul, and, you know, all that stuff, you know, that they were big bands that did stuff like that for sure.
Yeah.
You know?
I want to make sure I ask this. Have you mentioned Dimebag? Have you heard the song Dimebag by Cross Canadian Ragweed? Is
Yeah.
that one of the ones that made it onto your radar?
Yeah, they're actually man, this is once again one of my I kind of let opportunities go. They're doing a cross Canadian Cody Canada tribute, and they're doing Dimebag with John Five is going to play the guitar on it. They're doing it down in, I guess it's Shreveport, Louisiana, at Still Records, because they got in contact with me and they're like, hey, could you happen to get, they wanted Cody Johnson on a song. They're like, could you get Cody Canada, like, can you get access to him to get permission to do songs? And I was like, yeah. I was like, I can hit up Chen. And now, because Brian Martin was there, I don't know if my name got brought up with Brian, and yeah, they were able to link up. And they're I don't know who's singing on that, but yeah, John Five, who's on tour with Motley Crue right now, is going to play guitar on it. From the last I heard, and dude, that song, is I love Cody Canada. That sound, I was like, dude, that's what I love. It's got the hard edge guitars. It's got great writing, and it's got that looseness factor. Like, dude, it's funny. I remember I didn't really know, like, if you don't have your face on your album cover, I do not know what you look like. And I saw a guy, and I was like, that dude is somebody. I said, that guy's a rock star. I said, you can just tell. And I was like, who is that? And they're like, that's Cody Canada. I was like, God. And here I was talking to Shannon, his wife, and she was like, oh, yeah, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I don't want to bother him. And she goes, come on. And I got to talk to him. And I was nervous because, like, a lot of these older guys, like, they don't drink. You know, like BJ and Adam and everything.
Yeah.
I was in, like, Key West, and I don't want to be breathing, you know, like, here's the, you know, I stopped drinking because I hate people like you. You know what I mean?
Get what
like,
you mean? Yeah.
And dude, he was so cool. His kids are cool. Like, one of the coolest rock and roll moments was Waves in April. They got off stage, and I walked backstage to tell him great set. And Turks is like, yeah, I'll be back. I'm gonna go get a tattoo. And they left on, like, a side by side. Cody was driving off. I was like, man, that's cool. Like, it's great. It's so cool. Like, when they get off stage and they watch their kids play, it's like, it's a cool family, and they're super
And I'm
nice.
like, you know, and when I see well, it's not Ragweed, and I'm like, you haven't seen them live, because if you go see them live with him and Plato together, it's Ragweed. You know what I mean?
He's the singer and guitar
He's
player.
the whole damn thing. I get it. It's not. They're missing some key people. I got it. I completely understand. But there's nothing wrong with what they're doing. Like, it's still
Yeah.
great. I mean, I've seen him a couple times too, and like, I mean, I've seen him break out into a Pearl Jam song. Like, you know, and I was like, okay, you know what I mean? Like, that's. I think the song is Not For You. I think maybe was the name of it. I can't remember. But either way, you know, like, I mean, even my channel was named after a Ragweed album. So, you know, so when I first got on this thing, I didn't know I was going to be on here as long as I made a username. But one of the first videos was actually right before COVID. Ragweed, or Cody Canada and The Departed was the last show I saw before everything shut down. And one of my first videos was of that show. And I just I like to know who likes what. So I put, you know, are you a Ragweed fan? You know, because a lot of people here, they don't know who they are. But so it starts to make commonality, kind of the same thing of what you're doing, and you get comments, you meet people, they find you, and one of the people that commented was actually Dirks. And he said, yeah, I'm a fan. That's my father. And I'm like, oh shit, you know, like, And actually, no, he commented on a video where I posted of me covering a Ragweed song, and I'm like, son of a bitch, you are not supposed to see me terrorize your father's song. Like that, you know what I mean? Out of all the stuff to see in the world, you were not supposed to see my video, you know. But they were cool. It was you can tell, like
Yeah.
what you're talking about. You can tell they're not worried about the you know, whatever the past was, and they enjoy their little rock and roll family, which is very cool.
Yeah, dude, they're awesome. I can't speak highly enough. It's just they're one of the first times I was like commenting on a Facebook, and I just go, well, I was on a Red Dirt song, so I can die happy. And somebody sent me a DM and said, do you know who you're talking to? And I'm like, oh, and I look, and I'm like, Shannon Canada. No. They're like, that's his wife. I was like, what? She follows me on Facebook. Because for a while, like, I'd never said my name. I can't really. I did a podcast. And I think that's the first time like my full name was ever put out. Because like for a while, like I was like, I'm not gonna say my name, blah blah blah, because it got so like overwhelming. And like you have 200,000 followers. And it's like, does your life change? Like you don't know. Like when you wake up, you're like, am I famous? You know, like, and it
Right.
turns out nothing changes. You know, you still go to work, you still hate your day job, and you know, and all your hopes and dreams when you see those numbers.
No,
they don't
the
come
only
true.
only thing with me is family. Like I wanted to keep my teenager her life separate on TikTok than from mine, because people can be creepy. So
Yeah.
that was really my only, even before I had any followers, that was the only reason why I did, you know, as far as the username was to keep everything separated, because of that, you know, having a 16-year-old daughter, you think about things,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So I wanted to keep music over here and family over here. So, well, I know we're getting past an hour. I don't know how long you got and everything, but I know you've been, you know, you've met people through your podcast and all that stuff. How has that been, like, when you kind of promote and you review, or you do a reaction video to a song, and then you meet that person, you know, after the fact? How's that for you? Like, I'm sure it has different, you know, different reactions or whatever, but I mean, it's got to be kind of cool to put a handshake with the music.
I'm not gonna lie, it's awesome. Like the access, like the last show I saw, I went to I went down to West Virginia, whatever, it doesn't matter. I went to go see Dylan Wheeler, and I had met Dylan's drummer in Texas, and I've been messaging Brock, his guitar player, and dude, like when you just walk in and you see everybody, and like everybody I've met is like so cool. It's just like, it's hard to be like, I'm like Wayne in like Wayne's World, like before like Dylan said anything, I just wanted to be like, I love you, dude. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like meeting Cody Canada, like finding like a sound that like I loved, that didn't know it existed, and then just like meeting him. I met BJ. It was funny. BJ's like, you're the guy with the headphones, and I was like, yeah, you know. Everybody's been cool. Like I almost deleted everything, and Caitlin Butts just happened to come in on my comments once and just said, hey, I really appreciate you. And I'm like, I just saw her in Rolling Stone, and she can come in. So she saved the channel. I met her, met Cleto, and it's just, dude, everybody's so cool. And it's just like one of the first people I met, like, God, people know him as Woolly Beard, Drew Herrickle, from Cody Jinks. I think he's playing with Mike Ryan now. Like, he like came out of like his big concert venue, jumps in my car, and take him to a bar, and we hung out. It's like the one thing I do love, I am not surrounded by music people. So like you said, like we're going
Understand.
now. I could talk forever, dude. I love talking to musicians, and I don't get to. and like I love it, especially like it's because especially like to me they're superstars. You know what I mean? Like, and
I
it's
understand
funny
what
when
you
they're
mean.
like, nah, man, you know, we're just like grinding out. I'm like, they're not. I'm like, you're like
You
when
can
I'm
sleep
like,
on my living room floor if you want to.
yeah, like, dude, I meant like Austin Mead. Austin Mead dethroned all my favorite tracks on that like Spotify Wrapped or Apple Wrapped, and it was like every morning I listen to like the same song, and it's a Meshuggah song, and it's typical Meshuggah. It's like my entire commute. But Austin Mead like blew it out of the water, and that was like my favorite track. And like it's just to meet him, and he's like, "Hey man, what's up, man?" I'm like, "I don't think you understand. I'm having a moment here." You know, but it's cool because like to them, they're just like, "What's up, dude?" You know what I mean? And I just it has been. I want to meet William Clark Green. He's the one where like I saw his tour bus, and I'm like, man, I can just knock on the door and probably meet him. He's the first one that broke me like into like the country, and I always say like he's like my Keith Whitley. I love his voice, and I just have a feeling that like he's the smartest guy in a lot of rooms, but he'll never let you know. I just get that feeling off his personality that he's just a really smart, like just layers deep kind of guy, and I would love to talk to him because I love how like he can rip your heart out. And then they'll also make you laugh at like Ringling Road and everything. It's the same with like Tanner Usry. Like he'll take your
Yeah.
heart out, stomp on it, make you cry your eyes out, and you'll thank him for it. Like, thank you for that. That was an experience. And
I've gotten to see him twice. He was pretty, and he hung out after the fact, and those small, I don't know, 700, 800 people shows. After it's over, it disappears fast or empties out fast. So if you hang around, you got a real good shot of meeting some folks. And he was again, that was another one where I had my daughter with me, and like he was cool to her. The bass player was like, "Hang on, let me go get him," and they didn't have the right color to sign what she had, so he was like searching for a marker for her, and like, you know what I mean, just nothing major, but it was a little bit extra that he didn't have to do.
Yeah.
So him, 49 Winchester, just tons of people like that, that kind of do that little bit of extra thing there that makes you a fan. That are, one, you're already a fan of their music, but that makes you pull for the guys. Same with Adam Hood.
yeah,
I know you've had dealings with him and everything, and we met just a couple weeks ago. We met Brent Cobb at a show, and he was just super cool. You know what I mean? Like that's the guys I want that I want to pull for.
Yeah.
And BJ's the same way.
yeah. I tell you
I
what,
mean, he's the hardest working dude in showbiz, I think. Anyway,
dude, his like tour schedule, I was like, my God.
even to this day.
Yeah. And he was the most intimidating artist I've ever seen. Like I just like I always compare him to like Henry Rollins. It was just, and I always he made a post like apparently I shoot lasers out of my eyes.
He loves to be a smart ass too,
Oh,
as far as to the crowd or whatever's going on. He's not scared to talk.
no, I tell you what, I thought the Texas heat would slow him down. No, that dude, he gives it his all. That is a guy that is absolutely dedicated to his art, his name. I had the feeling like if I was to be like, this song is terrible, that beautiful red guitar would have been a necktie for me. Like, like he was so punk rock of just the way, like, that was my first Red Dirt experience. And I was in awe of I was like, man, this dude is super intense. And I was trying to like hang on every word.
And
then,
business
like,
intense too.
it was also the first time.
They got 30 shirts, and hangs around and kisses babies and shakes hands and takes pictures, and like he's got the business model, like he has figured out what works for them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's why they're still still rolling like that. When we saw him, they had released their country, what is it, Twangers and Bangers or something like that. Their 2 albums of 90s country covers, which is just ballsy and great that they would even do it. On their own label, they released female 90s country cover songs, you know, like they did Independence Day. But he did a Faith Hill song, and he did that live, and somebody kind of yelled at him about, you know, Faith did it better, and he was like, "No shit, Karen, it's Faith Hill." You know what I mean? Of course she did it better. It's fucking Faith Hill, you know. And so that was one of those moments I'll never forget, because he's kind of almost laughing at her like, "I'm BJ. That's Faith Hill, you know, that's her song, you know. I'll never be that, of course. I mean, why are you here?"
Yeah.
It's kind of, but anyway, he's pretty good at rolling with all the punches like that. I guess we've talked about the past and everything. What do you want to do with your podcast and everything now? What would be your goals on that? I know you kind of roll with the punches, and you're one day at a time, one show at a time, all that kind of thing. But still, what would you like to do next with it?
Oh, dude, I don't know.
Just
I always,
continue to grow.
Yeah, I guess I always. And the one thing about your channel that I love is, like, people know you play guitar. Me, I have one video pinned. I was like, I don't know. Like, I love it.
I've been kind of, I don't know how, I've kind of been going back and forth with me, like if I should just stop posting that stuff or what, you know, because the interview thing is relatively new to me. We've talked music on the lives before, but I've never, like, so I've kind of like, should I quit playing music on TikTok? Should I just do solely interviews? Should I, what? And then I'm like, you know what, this whole thing is supposed to be a hobby for me, and for me to be me.
Yeah.
So I should just, you know, screw the opinions and just be me. Just keep it the way
dude,
it is.
It takes a while to not let stuff bother you. You know what I mean? Like, granted, like, you know, sticks and stones, and like, granted, I'm not. You don't seem
No,
like the
I was
kind of
already
person.
thinking about it. So when somebody
Oh, really?
notices it, I'm like, shit, you know, damn it.
I love it. I just love watching it, 'cause especially like when you see people get better. Like, you'll see somebody do something and you just see it again, and I'm like, oh, I've always loved that, and that's like when people, they'll see me play and they're like, oh, you're pretty good. Do you do lessons? I'm like, absolutely. Going back to the basics is always the best. And like, especially like, because that's pretty much what I'm doing now, is trying to learn, like, rolling that distortion
I
knob
didn't really
down.
think about that, but I guess giving lessons does kind of make you go back to basics and kind of learn things yourself all over again.
Yeah, and dude, you only get better starting at the bottom, it's weird because I totally like revamped my whole style. I can't tell you when my distortion knob wasn't cranked all the way up, and then like you get older and you're like, you know what I mean? Like, I love sitting down with somebody that just like they don't know, and you tell them, because like you'll forget, like, is it whole, half, or whole? You know, what is the major scale? You know, and then like your patterns, because I'm like the kind of person, like, if I don't repeat everything, I forget it, and that's just been an issue with just my memory, and it's cool, and I like seeing people play music, and especially on TikTok, because a lot of my stuff is that's because people are like, they'll be like, how did you not see Zach Bryan sing his new song Pink Skies? I'm like, is Zach Bryan on TikTok? I said, I don't get any of that. I get Drumeo, drum videos and guitar videos. I said my FYP is pretty much all music.
So what do you want to do? I mean, I know, I know you want to, you know, keep on keeping on with talking to
He wants
people
to
and
play
meeting people and all
stadiums,
that.
man. The hell,
Well,
he wants to play stadium.
Well,
I
yeah.
want to play. I would love to play one of these festivals. That would be cool. Or even like, dude, I remember Tanner Usry was like, "Hey man, next time you're at a show, why don't you get up and play?" And I'm like, "No." I'm like, I would need to be prepared. And I was like, that was cool. I don't know, like, to be a professional musician would be amazing. But the thing is, it don't come with health care. And as a young I went to the hospital 3 times without health insurance, and I could be driving a Lambo right now. So that has always scared me into the system of economic slavery. Just do your 9 to 5. You get sick, you don't need to rely on GoFundMe. So you could leave the hospital, but it was like the other day I was watching Colin Nix play, and you talked to Bill, and I've talked to Bill. I've hung out with him when I was in Texas, and I was watching his guitar player, and I was just like, man, I want to do that. You know what I mean? Like,
You're like, I could do that.
And he's playing the guitar I want. I'm like, oh my God, this is just pulling on all my.
There's your question, Matt. No, you can continue on. I didn't mean to.
No, it's fine. Like dude, there is no better feeling than the feeling you get on the stage for me. Just to look out and just to see, like, the faces, especially like. I don't know, man. Like, when I go up on stage, man, I'm there to drive nails through it. It could be my last time. It's funny is I've had a lot of people come up and they're like, I've never seen anybody play songs like that. It's crazy because, like, there's a lot of country songs. It's funny because, like, I don't listen to Jason Aldean, but his song Hicktown is drop C sharp. And if you put, like, I got a modeler, if you put a Bogner Ubershaw on that with some overdrive and play some pinch harmonics on it, that's a nasty song.
Right.
And people are like, because I used to tell people, I was like, dude, when I'm playing this stuff, I'm in Lamb of God. I'm in a heavy metal group, which is also, like, a lot of people, they also don't like that at the same time. But now I kind of have, like, I'm in between of where it still comes out, but now it just, I don't know. It would be cool to be known as, like, it would never happen, but like a Brent Mason, especially since I haven't charged anything. People are like, hey, we need a solo on this. Call Pat. You know what I mean? That would be cool, just to keep me happy. Than coming home from work being like. Instead of doing everything on my own of trying to get songs put together and whatnot, but, like, doing, like, the band thing and just I want to play for a huge crowd. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, just to...
I'm with you. I mean, that's not necessarily my thing, but I understand what you're talking about. You know what I mean? I completely understand. Especially because you've been, around this for a while in different phases, but still, it's still not. I guess this situation is relatively new to you, but just playing in general is not, So.
Yeah, dude.
And I like what you said too earlier. I'm sorry to cut you off, but when you said it might be your last one, I've kind of feel that way as far as with gigs and stuff. I try not to, even if I'm kind of feeling like not making it, or if it's not going the way that I really want it to be, because I haven't had any major health issues, but I've had enough to make me be thankful that, that I don't know how long I can play. I was kind of a late bloomer into really enjoying music, and I don't know how many of those gigs I have left. So, like so what you said stood out to me on that part of it.
Yeah,
for sure.
If we had, that's why I was mad. Like, I should have lied when I went to, with, like, dude, after 9/11, I was like, well, I'm signing up. And when they asked me if I had allergies, I was like, yeah. And they're like, well, sorry. If I had like some type of healthcare, like if we had universal healthcare, I would not be doing what I'm doing right now. I'd be slinging drinks, working for tips, and playing music wherever I possibly can. Because I know, like, once I had the chance of, people are like, hey, he liked what you're doing. We got big things. There's talks of he was going to go on tour with Cody Johnson. Now he's doing stuff with Morgan Wallen and all that. And it was like, you want to do it? And I'm like, I know as soon as I say, yeah, let's do this, jump all in, my appendix is going to burst. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm like, I can't. That's just, I can't. I've been there. I've been with when your envelopes in your mailbox are red, that is not a good sign. And I've been there, like, they're all red. They sell the debt to there and there and there, and people are like, oh, it's medical debt, don't worry about it. And it's like, well, I eventually want to get out of this one bedroom place and get it, and it's just that has always scared me into actually doing the jump. And that
because it's not a part-time gig, and what you're wanting to do is really not a part-time gig. I mean,
Yeah.
that particular band might be a part-time gig, but you can't leave your permanent job and go, and most people can't anyway. I don't know what your situation is, but
Yeah.
most people can't just put their job on hold and go play for 2 weeks and then come back. So
yeah. Oh man, I would love that.
we actually had talked to one of the guys on an earlier show named Tim Gooden. He's small in the world, but he's got some great songs. And he pretty much works in construction Monday through Thursday, plays out Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday, travels 1,000 miles a weekend, and he's no kids, but him and his wife. But that's pretty much where the day job is. What you just mentioned, he's got the day job, and he considers himself lucky to have an employer that lets him take off that day and a half or whatever,
Yeah.
to do it, and he drives. He moved from Kentucky and like coal mine country because the jobs fell out to Alabama where her family was, just for work. But all the music is back in Kentucky, so he's like, he's all over the place. But and what you were talking about, the grind and everything, like those are the people like you. And he was nice enough to come on here and talk and all that. So I mean, I will promote his stuff until, to anybody that'll listen, just because of the dude he was, but my point to that was,
yeah, for sure.
yeah, my point to that was he's pretty much a 3-day musician because of the healthcare situation.
Yeah, that's the only time we would take off. I don't hunt, but there was hunting season. That was the only time we took time off. But we did every weekend. I would get off work, fill my car up, and go drive to the trailer, pack the trailer up, and like we would drive we'd go up the main and just hit a couple spots on the way down, and then Sunday come rolling around, and play the show Sunday, and I'd wake up and go to work. It's rough.
young man's game, huh?
Yeah, definitely. But it was worth it. It felt like, it's like you say, like, what do I want out of it? It's another huge thing I would want is to, like, I just miss the reach I used to have. Like, you remember, like, back in the day, like, you do a video and it's just, I would love to be able to put these guys on, like, the map. Like, it'd be cool to be like a promoter type too, is to, like, really get behind because like you said, like, a lot of these guys I've met and just, like, they deserve it. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of
Yeah, I
There's
think
a
we
lot
look
of
at it in different directions because you're on the musician side of it more than anything, or more than me, I guess I should say. But I'm definitely I'm a fan and have been for a long time of all these different people, new people, just the scene in general. So Yeah, I would love to be able to do that side of things too. I mean, as much as I like to play music, I'm a fan of music more than I am of playing. You know, if I had to pick, if I had to choose, you know, so that getting to do this sort of thing is, I think it's more up my alley than I really thought it was. Even though, I started off in radio way back in high school in the '90s. And that's what I wanted to do for a living, but I never really connected these dots. And to start off, like Matt knows, we were just going to interview, just people that we met on TikTok, and just that they had independent music. All they needed was independent music,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm in a cover band, but I don't want to interview other cover band people unless there's another reason,
Yeah.
But anyway, like that's, I get what you mean on that as far as helping other people out and all of that. I'm sure that's it'd be nice to, I'm sure in your situation you would like to be able to make a living doing those kinds of things too. But the feeling is cool also.
Yeah, it's like when people they do like the post and the people share it and they're like, man, it's so cool to be on your channel, and I'm like, yeah, it's so cool, like you talk to me. You know what I mean? It leads me to a story that we saw Brent Cobb years ago, and to us he was really good. You know what I mean? And we feel like everybody should know who he is and dig his music and all that stuff. But when the crowd started singing his music back, we were on the rail, so you could see in his face that he was genuinely shocked that people were singing his music back. Right, so we hung around after the show and we asked him, what. I was like, man, you look like you were really in awe of these people singing your songs. And he said, you don't know how many years, to dead ears and to sleeping on floors and all of this that we do. So just the fact that anybody knows any of these songs is just it took him back. He didn't do that this past time when we saw him, but. You could tell that was new. That was still a new feeling to him at that time. So I can see where, like what you're talking about, you're like, man, it's so great to meet you and blah, blah, all that stuff. And they're like, thank you for the help because, it's probably few and far between. Yeah, I never really thought about it.
I didn't, but seeing that look on his face, I was like, that's the real deal. You know what I mean? How the grind.
God, that's got to be. That has to be an incredible feeling. It's something you wrote and having a crowd. Especially even overseas, they sing the riffs, which that blew my mind. Like if you watch a concert like Rio de Janeiro or somewhere, they're screaming, doing the rhythm of the songs and everything and.
Like soccer chants.
Yeah. And just, to have somebody, to be able to back off and have all those people sing your words back to you, that has to be, you got to have a huge sense of accomplishment and, how do you bottle that up? I love coffee and everything, but.
You could definitely sell it. Matt, you want to, hit him with a rig or gear question before we let him get out of here? I know that's more your lane here. So I liked your question. You were asking.
I wanted to ask him some actual guitar verses. I heard he was a big Ozzy. Sound like he was a big Ozzy fan. So somebody like Randy Rhoads versus Zakk Wylde, what would you say?
Oh man,
top of your head right now.
Oh man,
I just because the era and the impact, I would say Zakk Wylde, but Randy Rhoads was a powerhouse of being able to blend rock and classical music. His phrasing is incredible. I think his it's definitely if I had to. Randy Rhoads wins in legendary status overall, but from my experience, hearing Perry Mason that crushing guitar tone for the first time was what really just got me into like I was like, what is he playing? Because I needed I needed a Les Paul and
I heard that came on shuffle the other day, Perry Mason, and I was like, immediately what I thought of was like, that's pre-Godsmack, like that's Godsmack before Godsmack, like that sound is to me that's what just came to mind. Like, wait a second, you know,
it's like angry bees attacking each other. It's that fuzz. It's just
Absolutely.
I loved hearing that. But Randy Rhoads he's awesome. He's a legend. It's a shame that he was taken too soon.
I think he was way ahead of his time for sure, man.
Yeah.
I'd love to see how much more he had in the tank for us. I think it would have just melted my mind, you know, as far as, you know, and being a guitar player that you are, I'm sure you've heard, and I've went back and forth with this, but I've heard along the lines that he actually was doing the tapping stuff before Eddie was, which, I don't know, there's videos of him like when he was with Quiet Riot and stuff early on, you know, before the first Van Halen album, you know, him doing all the different stuff. And there's one video that almost sounds identical to Eruption. I mean, it's a little bit different, but like, it's crazy. Like, and I heard some other guitar players, you know, just old heads, you know, that told me that stuff. And I just kind of started researching it just because I'm the nerd like that, you know, and I thought that was kind of crazy, you know. But what's your take on that? Have you ever heard that? And you know,
No. I'd always heard like Eddie used to like play with his back turned when he played Eruption, so no one would steal his secrets and everything.
yeah,
That had to be a wild time to be a player. Like when you're innovating, or you know, something that's never been done, but you want to keep it close to your chest, like
absolutely.
that. What
well,
a
also
wild,
it probably also helped create a mystique that, you know, that helped, was a good, you know, good publicity also.
yeah.
Right.
You know what I
'Cause-
mean?
You know, them two were rivals.
Like the
too, on
Gorillas
Sunset
not
Strip.
showing their face on stage, you know,
Yeah.
or Reznor standing on the drum stand, not Reznor, Maynard, you know, standing on the drum stand, not being up front with the rest of the band. I mean, it's probably all creates a mystique, you know.
Yeah.
What about your? I know Matt asked this last night. What about your holy grail of guitar? What would your if you had one to choose, what would that be?
Of all time. Like
Of
one
all
your,
time,
Yeah, like
Yeah,
what is your
and-
holy
and-
grail? Of
And what's your
guitar?
favorite that you have?
I actually have a guitar we call the Grail, and that's my Zakk Wylde Epiphone Les Paul. I love it because it's heavy and it's got that tone to it. But it's weird how like now like I love Telecasters. Man, like
Do you keep them single coil, or do you kind of buck them up a little bit, or?
I was an active guitar pickup user for years, and then I realized they're very sterile. They all kind of sound the same. I have one guitar. I have a Jim Root Strat that has actives in it, and it has like the Strat-esque type tone to it. I've never been a single coil guy until lately. I bought a American Special Telly, and I love that guitar. I play it every day. I got two Nashville Tellys that I love. It's funny. I always wanted an Yngwie Malmsteen. My favorite color guitar is like vintage white, like that cream. I needed an Yngwie, and it turns out they also sell it on other guitars too. And one of my favorite movies is Crossroads with
Oh yeah,
Ralph Macchio.
Ralph.
I had to have that guitar,
yeah,
so
absolutely.
I have that now.
The pawn shop guitar. Ain't it? That's where
Yeah.
he traded in, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
got
with the
little,
pig nose.
Pig nose, yeah.
Yeah, with
Yeah.
Jack Butler, the Steve Vai.
Jack Butler, old Steve Vai. He likes cutting them heads, he said.
Yep.
Yeah, that's right, man.
The way you laugh.
Yeah, it's crazy, man.
Blind Dog Fulton.
That's right.
It's fine.
That amp wise, man, like I know you're two different tones, it sounds like. So your metal stuff, you play through the same amp when you're going chicken picking and you're doing your country thing, or you a little lower gain amp? What do you got amp wise? I'm just curious.
If I was to play a show, it'd be with my Kemper. I have a Kemper, and right now it's Fender Twin right now. I have
Twin.
like it's like at the profile is Brent Mason, Fender Twin with the Wampler Ego, and then I still love Octave Fuzz. I got a couple of them, but right there I got I love 5150 amps, and now they're made by Fender, so the clean channel is very Fender, very clean. I have the 5150 EL34, which is like British voiced. I love like the British voice, like real punchy the mids, and also I have the original, not the block letter, but the first 5150. That is absolutely. It probably needs to be
Holy
recapped.
Grail.
It's dude, to play Master of Puppets on that. It resets
man.
the rhythm of your heart. It has that resonance, and it's. I could see why they
gain's
were like, "Hey, Jason, you can take a step back with amps like that." And then I have like Mesa Boogies that they're like the switchblade of amps. They do a little bit of everything. That thing has like 9 channels. But it's funny. Is like I've always loved the classic Marshall tone. I don't think I've ever owned a Valve Marshall amp ever.
Really, I would have thought you'd have had, Zach Wild fan. I would have thought you would have one in your arsenal, just at least a head. I mean, I know you're probably switching heads with cabinets and stuff, but I would have thought you'd have had a definitely a Marshall in his, his eye.
Yeah, you ain't lying. Like it's funny is nowadays like the old Valve amps and the tube amps, they're kind of like. That was the first thing when they were talking about that war in Russia. I'm like, oh no, my tubes. Which was so selfish. You know what I mean? Like, there's like people getting bombed and shelled and casualties, and I'm thinking like, oh my, they make the best 6L6 GCs.
6L6, yeah.
Yeah, and a Marshall amp, and also, I loved the sound. My buddy had one orange. They're like a hot rod at Marshall. That same British voiced. Like I see. God, his name just went woo. Man, he's the young kid who's like he's got that Stevie Ray. Marcus. God,
King.
Marcus King. Yo, yeah, he just came out with his.
Oh, yeah.
It's cool to
His
see.
line. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Jim Root played Orange Rock Reverb. Nothing sounds like it. It's just if you play one, you're definitely going to stand out because just the whole British high gain amp is awesome. But it's crazy. Like now, I'm looking for like the cleanest tone.
And then you were talking about Cody Canada earlier, and he's, at least every time I've ever seen him anyway, he played with an old Vox.
A Vox, yeah, dude.
In the country world.
AC30, man.
One of the cool moments. Another rock and roll moment is Cody was mad about something about his sound, and the one thing you can't do with modelers, if mine's powered, so just kind of for this reason, if you're not happy with the sound guy, you can walk right up to your amp and go, I don't need you. And that's what he did. He didn't like how his sound was. He didn't think his sound was cut. He just walked right up to that Vox and cranked it. And I was like, rock and roll. It was awesome. Because as soon as he hit that next note and he smiled, he was like, that's what I want.
That's it.
And I was standing like right there.
Got
and
to
you
get
could
those
feel
tubes cooking, baby.
Oh, yeah. That's it's a blessing and a curse at the same, because, you'd be playing those tube amps. You're like watching the paint peel off the walls.
It's so loud.
Yeah, but
when you said twin, I was thinking, man, if you're, I just listened to you talk earlier. If you're in a 1-bedroom and you've got that twin, I mean, them things are stupid loud.
yeah, even like a 22 watt practicing is a 15 watt. It's a tube. That plate volume, it's just and like I've 100-watt amps. It's like I remember telling the like my dad. I was like, Dad. Her name's Shannon. I was like, Shannon gets to do gymnastics, and I know that's like $2 million a month. You know, like I know gymnastics is expensive, and I'm like, I am just asking for a guitar amp. And he bought me a PV, a 1x12. It was tube. I went in, and I was like, man, this thing just isn't loud enough. And I remember telling my dad that, and he's like, well, we went back to the store, and the guy goes, this is loud. This is loud enough for you. And I was like, nope. He's like, well, what do you want? I said, I want a 5150 Eddie Van Halen half stack. And the guy goes, no, you don't. And I was like, I'm pretty sure I do. I got my money man right here, and he was like, what? Because he saw the size of it, and he's like, because he's used to, like, his Serwin Vega 15-inch loudspeakers were like the creme of the creme back in the day.
Right.
He's like, 412s, Jesus. You hardly know how to play the thing, but he did. He bought it for me, and I still have it. And
You have that same amp?
yeah, it's got to be recapped. It's just you know.
Yeah, but still, to have it all this time.
Boutique now, right? You know what I mean?
It's old, and it is. And I got the updated version. And when you just turn that thing on and you just crank it, they'll never. Maybe one day they will, but the way it moves air is just so. Like if you've never felt it, it's hard to explain. But anymore, like you take that beautiful sound, that movement in air, you put a microphone on it, and you lose it through the PA. So it's like, and my in-ears, they don't have tubes in them, you know. So as long as I have my saturation with enough distortion where I'm not looking for more fuzz or anything, I'm happy. And with a digital amp now, like you can profile your rigs, and you can bring your rig that's gigantic, that weighs 150 pounds in a little box now, and fly with it everywhere and get the same sound at every club. You just hand them a lead anymore, and that's pretty much what I rock with. That Kemper, I love it. And they have and now you can like share tones. Like I was telling Brock from Dylan Wheeler, I was like, that clean tone is immaculate, and he goes, well, as soon as you get a quad Cortex, I'll send it to you. It's like sending an email. Here, like Wes Barlow from Dolly Shine, and TJ Ferryman, they send me their. So there is no reason why I do not sound like those guys, because I have their stage tones. It's amazing, just the technology now. Like it's a text message, and you download it, you put it in, and like boom, you have your favorite artist sound.
And it's crazy that they would even share that. You know, that used to be so like you said, he turned his back when he played that song. You know, your tone was like kind of like your trademark. So it's kind of crazy that they, I get it. I mean, at the same time, still you can't manipulate the hand, because the way you play, you may be a little heavy-handed. You know what I'm talking about. And the hand, and what they're doing with their guitars, pickup wise, and all that stuff changes things. So it's a never-ending journey. I say that you can get close, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, we're coming up on 2 hours, and we could all blab about music, most of the night. But we'll let you get out of here. But Matt's got to ask you the hot button question we have to ask everybody on these things. So
that's right, man. You ready for it?
I'm ready.
So this question, man, it's become a staple of the No Name Radio Show, and it's something we always end on, so we end on a good laugh. And we got to know, what is your favorite Little Debbie cake? We got to know.
Little Debbie. I was just talking about. I send oatmeal cream pies to my buddy in Nashville all the time, to the Average Joe's record label. I don't eat them. Or like fudge, like I didn't even know what fudge rounds were until Oliver Anthony or whatever his name is. Do they do the oatmeal thing?
Yeah.
Like the oatmeal, like it came like the like construction paper behind it. Oh, I don't know. I don't.
We stumped him on that one.
I hate cakes and pies.
Cynthia in the chat said you look more nervous on that question than anything.
Frozen Star, is that with like the little like Rice Krispies stuff?
Oh yeah, we don't talk about them here.
Yeah,
I don't know. Dude, my snacks growing up was like ranch dressing and cauliflower. My mom did not let me have sweets. I remember my grandmother gave me bacon once, and I was like, Mom, why do you want to put fat on my heart? She was like, "Jeez, what? It's
What is it?
bacon. You can eat bacon." I'm like, "We're not allowed to have bacon in my house, Grandma." So, I don't know,
Oh
man.
man, you were so mistreated and abused as a kid, man.
I tell you what, my blood work does not show that I was raised on broccoli. Because man,
Genetics, man.
yeah, dude, I don't know, little dude. Like, I like the oatmeal part, but you can scrape that cream off.
Oh
we don't.
God, it's the best part. All of us fat kids love the cream, man.
I don't know. Like, yeah,
Oh God.
I thought. I mean, I'm just glad you didn't say the Star Crunches because me and them things don't get along well at all.
no.
He hates them and they hate him. They have a mutual.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to do a deep dive into why Matt hates Star Crunches one day. So
Yeah, dude,
I was so mad at them as a kid. I used to throw them at people's windshields. You know what I mean? I just like I can't believe you brought this in this house, Mom. What in the world was you thinking?
Somebody said the nutty bars,
Peanut butter, yeah, the wafers
With the
the
wafers?
chocolate.
Yeah.
kind of
Nutty
like
Buddy.
an airy Kit Kat.
Yeah.
Let's go with that, Dan.
We got.
I can get down with that.
I'm like little Deb.
Get down
I
with
just
that.
was talking about that. Yeah, I don't.
Well, in the next few years they'll be called Big Deborah. So
Big Deborah.
What's his name has those shirts? You like Big Deborah, dude? Justin Danger Dunley. You like Big Deborah?
yeah.
Yeah, she
All right, man. So, if you don't follow Patrick on the Country versus Metal channel there, make sure you do. Make sure you follow his podcast on all things where you can, stream all your podcasts. And you're on YouTube too, right?
Yeah,
It's
I
not as
neglect-
much on there, right?
Yeah, they're
You know.
like the stepchildren of the.
They're not as user friendly though when it comes
No.
to music. They'll flag everything. But yeah, definitely go follow what he's got going on. Give him make his videos blow up. Keep his because one of the things he's doing is promoting new music. So the new music doesn't have as much steam as all we could all share a George Jones song or something like that and get everybody everybody loves it already. But the hard part for Patrick and the people making the music is getting people to pay attention. But that's part of the good fight there,
Yeah.
So make sure you do that. Make sure you interact with the videos. That makes a big difference. And like I said, and all these guys, a lot of the people you're sharing out on your page, you're getting a chance to interview, right?
Yeah, for the most part, yeah.
So you'll be able to put a story with the songs and all that kind of stuff. So, All right, man. Well, it was nice to meet you, and Matt, thanks for hopping on. And
Anytime, my brother. Nice to meet you, brother.
Yeah,
The chat-
dude, I had a
It's
great
been
time.
great.
the chat said we had to have a part number 2 so we could discuss more things. More
I'll
things.
try some Little Debbie stuff. I'm like, this is why.
Come
What's
back.
his name made that video? No one's ever asked me that. I
We're
waited
gonna-
all this.
I'm gonna send him a care package.
Yeah, you're gonna number 2. You're gonna be like 30 pounds heavier because you found Little Debbie's.
Yeah, let me
We'll
start
send him a
this
care
episode out
package.
with
I'm
some
gonna tell him.
insulin.
You
These
know how he
things are
does
great.
like blind reaction to the country? Let's do blind reaction to Little
Little
Debbie's.
Debbie's.
The Little Debbie, the food. One bite, everybody knows the rule. Just eat the whole package.
All right, man.
All right. Yeah, thanks,
Well, have a
guys.
good evening. See you.
You too, man. Later, guys.